to run classes while she was here, though she had no idea where there'd be a location suitable in Winterville.
Call him. He'll leave work early. He's a good guy.
I'm sure he is. She'd met Gabe Winter a couple of times, when she was barely more than a kid. Matt rarely came home, and until recently, she'd always had classes or work when he was competing. It had been Matt's idea that she stay with Gabe for a while. It was one of the reasons she had enough money to manage this. Because she'd offered to pay rent, but Matt was adamant that Gabe wouldn't accept a penny. I really appreciate you arranging this for me, she told him.
I wish I could be there.
He sighed.
Or that you'd agree to fly here and be with me.
I can't leave the country right now. You know that.
I did.
A smile curled at her lips. Maybe you're further along than I am. Mom and Dad felt better when they knew I'd only be a drive away. I didn't want them to make a fuss. Her parents were scientists. Her dad was a professor at the Lincoln University in Washington, D.C., and for as long as she could remember, he spent more time in the lab than he did at home with his family. Her mom wasn't much better. As a research scientist for one of the big pharmaceutical companies, she was always at work or at conferences around the world. Right now, her dad was even more preoccupied than usual. His research was hitting a key milestone that he had to complete to secure more funding. He and his assistant had pretty much set up camp at the university. His assistant being her ex, Luke Nicholson. And by ex, she meant very recent ex. Last week, in fact. If her dad found out what Luke had done to her, he'd be apoplectic, especially since Luke was his second in command. And she knew how much that stress could impact his health. Better to pretend she needed a break from Luke than to tell the truth right now. That she'd walked in on her boyfriend and his assistant in her bedroom. Matt had been the first person she'd called as she'd stumbled out of there and ran to the nearest coffee shop. He'd urged her to tell their parents, but she'd refused. Luke was the only person who could take the workload from her father. If her dad fired him, he'd be swamped, and he was already constantly stressed out. She hated the thought of him having to cope with her personal life on top of his workload. No, this was much better. I really appreciate you arranging for me to come here to stay, she told her brother.
Yeah, well, Gabe's the closest thing I have to a brother. He's the only guy I trust you with.
Nicole burst out laughing. I'm not exactly here for a hookup. She'd learned from her mistakes.
I know that, but guys, look at you. You know that too. It's the old rice charm.
His voice was warm.
You've either got it or you haven't, and you and I've got it, kid.
He cleared his throat.
Anyway, I owed you one.
You didn't owe me anything.
You were the only one who stood up for me when I dropped out of college. You were 13 years old, and you stood there and shouted at our parents to give me a break. I haven't forgotten that.
Well, look at you now. You proved them wrong. She was so damn proud of her brother. He'd won medals, traveled the world, and was clearly living his best life. Like their parents, and their sister, he'd planned to become a scientist, though he'd dropped out during his freshman year to pursue his snowboarding career. His plan was to return to his studies once he was too old to compete. That would make 4 scientists in the family. And her, the non-scientist.
You will too, sweetheart.
Her chest felt full. Thank you. I should go. This call must be costing you a fortune. And it sounds like you have company.
Okay, but call me any time and say hi to Gabe from me.
I will. Ending the call with a smile on her face, Nicole grabbed her purse and climbed out of her shiny red Mazda. It looked tiny, parked next to so many trucks and 4-wheel drive vehicles. People in the mountains obviously loved their big cars. She spent the next half hour walking around town, popping into shops, introducing herself, and asking to leave leaflets about her one-on-one yoga session.
To keep listening to this audiobook, I've left you a link in the description so you can do it, at no cost thanks to Audible's 30-day free trial.